Hey, welcome back to MVP Hot Wheels. This is Diesel Mac, and I figured I would had these out, getting ready to put them away or do something with them, and I'd go ahead and create a video about some fakes. These are actual fakes that I have received. I had another one on card. I wish I could find that one. Who knows what I did with it? I probably buried it really deep somewhere, so I don't ever see it again. No, but these two I got. The right one, the Daytona, I bought on the actual package, the first edition package, and the Baja here with the white hubs came in, loose. I bought that on auction. In the case of the Baja, everything worked out. Talked to the seller, showed him, what was going on, and refunded me. I don't think there was any ill will. I don't think there was any notice of it. But this stuff does happen. As far as the right one, I'm not sure if the person that I bought it from knew about it. I had it in a package for probably over a year or so, maybe even 2 or 3 years before I actually even opened it. And then I put it right into a case with the other Daytonas. And then one day I was kind of moving some stuff around, and for whatever reason, it got bumped. And I had the case open, and it fell out, hit my desk, and split apart. And I'll show you, what that is. So obviously you see the black interior there, supposed to be is a very tough variation. Of course, the Baja breaker with white hubs is another tough one. So let's go ahead and show you what they have done. So for the Baja breaker, you can see here we've got the white hubs on this side. We've got kind of a white hub, but it's kind of a milky white. See how difference in the white here? And I believe that's because they put some type of glue in it, and it had a reaction with the plastic. So when I got this doesn't roll very good. It barely rolls. You can see the back one rolls a little bit better now because I've played with it quite a bit. But when I was doing this side, it wouldn't roll at all. And what they did was, I'll pull this off here, is they cut it. So they got a set of white hub, real riders, and they cut this, slid it on through, and I think this piece is even glued in there too. So I've never tried to pull it out, but it's in there pretty good, which means that the axle doesn't roll whatsoever. And if you look at the back side of here, you can see where they put some glue in there a little bit. So this was, like I said, one of the fakes that I got. The back side is the same way. I just popped this back on, but you can see here that isn't normal for you to be able to get that off. And the indication for me, once I got it, was one, it didn't roll very well, like hardly at all. Like the wheels are really locked up. And then when I looked on the inside, it's kind of tough to see in here, but you have a little bit of room. You can kind of see where, if you were able to see in there, it's kind of dark, but that it wasn't, one that is coloration, but there you can kind of see some glue or something going on in there. So anyhow, that is one way they have faked it. They've cut the end off and glued a new axle on there, so be very careful of that kind of stuff. Everything should roll fairly decently, I would say. Even the real riders usually roll, especially on their own weight. This one kind of does now, but like I said, when I first got it, like that front one's all locked up, right? It usually will roll pretty, I won't say easily, but it will roll. All right, for this one, so like I said, this came on the package, looked legit. The package looked pretty good. So they're pretty easy to remove the blister. I'm sure a lot of people will know that as well, and then put back on. But when this hit, it fell apart. Kind of like that. And so I was looking at everything. They didn't even get an actual black interior, which is fairly easy to get. They just painted this one, so you can see here we've got the black paint on there. And then they just put it back together. If we look at the body and the base, they have basically took two of these, right? If you're gonna sell this for $100, you know what you're doing. And you can waste, $1 on these cars because they're relatively easy to get a hold of, or a couple of bucks. But they will drill through a body on the car. So the other donor car will have a drill through all the way down until you see, or they've kind of drilled out the rivet down, but they want to make sure that the bottom of the rivet stays in there. So they'll drill through the body on both spots where they know where the rivets are, and then they'll give them a good base. So when you look at the base, you're like, oh yeah, those rivets look normal in the right spots, right? The front one is painted, the back one is not, which is kind of indicative of this particular casting, I'm pretty sure, right? The wheels are in there, they're set in right, which they're not anything crazy, they're just the gold lace wheels. All right, so that's how they do this part. And then they take the other car, right, the other donor, and they'll drill through the rivets on the base and up into the rivet here. And you can kind of see where they've drilled through, and then they've opened it up finally, and they'll snip off or cut or grind down the post here, so that when they go to put this back together, that post, they'll put some glue in there and glue the post back to it. So you can kind of see that glue there on there. It didn't stick so well to the metal itself, so you can't really see a whole lot of glue there, but you can definitely see where it was put on the base here. And then basically that's what they did. And then they took this car and they, put it back together. So slid it back together, put that glue on there, and then there you go. Looks like a legit car. And if you can't see anything in there, it's tough to tell what kind of, what color of black. I'm sure it's a little bit shade different than what the actual black plastic was, but that is, how they do that. There are also other ones. There are axles that are out there that people can get a hold of. Instead of doing it like this guy did and just, goodness, I can't even get that one off. We'll do the front one. Cutting it, right? They'll go in and snip it from either side. If they got a little bit longer axle, they can kind of get in there. And they don't even have to use an axle from this. They just need to get an axle from anywhere, so they can kind of cut one of those off of another vehicle, of course, as long as it's long enough. And then they glue this. So there's a company out there, I guess, I'm not gonna know the company, but they actually make axles that are two-piece, right? And the idea is that the two pieces, one slides inside the other, and what you'll do is put your wheels on, you'll slide them together, right? Make sure everything fits, and then you'll pull it back apart, put just a little bit of glue on it, slide it back in there, and now the only thing that's glued is the axle tube to the inside axle piece that met it, and then your wheels spin, the axle spins, and it's really difficult to see that. And that is another way. So when you're looking at these tough cars, really rare variations, you just have to be extremely careful. This is, I think I spent $125 to $150 on each of these to get them at the time. So you're talking a little bit, bigger money than just your average, $5, $10, $20 car. Of course, that's why they did it, is to manipulate or make the fake to try to get the money out of it. So there's people out there that do that kind of stuff. I think it's completely terrible. All right, if you're going to make a custom, that's okay, right? If you were to say, hey, this is a custom, I want to make it because I know I can't, I don't want to pay for it. I won't say afford it, right? If you can't, you don't want to put out the money for it and what it costs, then you need to do something to the vehicle that says it's a fake or a custom. Now, if it's yours and you keep it, I guess you don't really have to do anything with it. But if you're going to make that sale, right, mark on the base, mark somewhere. A lot of people do that when they make customs. They'll mark on there. They'll engrave it into the base that, hey, I've created this custom, and here's a mark on here. It kind of gives you that indicator so that people down the road don't get screwed as well. But Obviously in the case that, there was nothing on either one of these. Like I said, this was back in the package. I didn't notice anything on the package that was marked to say that it was a fake. So I lost out on that one, which is a shame because I really like to have a black interior one day, and they just haven't come up very often. I do have a white Baja breaker, coming from a mail call from Jeff. So obviously I'll check it out, but Jeff isn't going to sell a fake. He doesn't want to sell a fake. He's got a reputation. A lot of people have reputations to uphold. So if they sell it like this guy did, he was immediately remorseful. As soon as I showed him, it was no hesitation, wanted to do the right thing, right? Whereas like this guy, obviously I never found out, and I can't remember who I got it from, because I'd had it for a couple of years before I found out that it was even fake. But it is what it is. So don't get caught in the fakes out there. If it's an extremely difficult car to find, do your best to look it over. A lot of people kind of ask for this the screwdriver test or whatever, where they kind of get in underneath something and try to pop it to see if that glue will pop, because obviously the rivet is going to be stronger than the glue in most cases. I have other cars that people have said have faked. I've gone through and done as much as I can without basically destroying the vehicle to see if it's fake. If I had two of them, I don't know, it'd be a really tough decision to even break one apart if I had two of them, just because they're extremely rare, like the Chevelles that I have. But I've gone through and asked everybody, like, hey, if there's any other way to tell, that these are fakes, and there's my videos out there for that as well. I'm willing to do everything except for destroy the car, right? Because if it's a rare car, obviously, you don't want to destroy it. I don't have anything to hide. Anybody, comes through, is willing to look at it. But, they're legit as far as I'm concerned. And if I find out, right, I'll make another video when we find out, like, something were to happen like this one, where it fell out and, falls apart, and I can definitely see that it had been tampered with. I'll make a video and show that it, that was the case. But so far as I'm concerned, it is not the case. And for everybody that's out there saying, oh, it's fake just because, supposedly they didn't make it. Well, there's a lot of things that come out of the factory. We have tons of transition pieces, right? Here's a great example, right? Very limited run of the red interior in this particular car, transition piece, right? Red interior from the black one that was available right around that same time. But everybody's like, oh yeah, that's legit. It's not any different than that, right? So the Chevelles that I have some other cars that are transition pieces. People aren't questioning them. I don't know why the Chevelle is such a weird anomaly in that regard, but it is what it is. But like I was saying, just kind of go, if you're going to get a rare car, make sure that the buyer is, reputable, and knows, what he's selling, or at least you have an idea that, hey, if you were to find out this was fake, right, that they would, honor that, hey, okay, they kind of the one that got duped and not going to pass it on to you. And it sucked that obviously if they paid, bigger money for it, and they're out some money, then, it's a learning lesson, I guess. And I know some people, even though, you bought it, they're going to, put it on you, so you're going to, probably have to eat it too. It doesn't mean that they're not reputable. It just means they can't eat the, $100 that they used on the, from you buying it and them, obviously getting it and selling it to you. So it doesn't mean that they're completely bad. It doesn't mean they're the ones that faked it. It just, they may not be in that position. So people are just kind of that way, whereas, once you've paid for it, it's kind of your deal, buy as is type of deal, especially if you get a real car, right? You're going to have, there's a slew of issues that you could potentially have with it. And, it just kind of is what it is. So if you were to buy a $15,000 truck from somebody and turns out that, it threw a rod, recent or, right after you got it because a bearing had slipped or, whatever the case was, then, is that guy going to be able to take that back from you? He doesn't know what you've done with it. He doesn't know that you swapped it out, right? He doesn't know that, hey, you open this and you're the one that created the fake, right? And then just trying to get your money back, and then you keep a real one, right? Like, I'm sure there's people out there like that as well. So just think about all those things. When you get something and it turns out to be fake, just, you know, ask some questions, reach out to the person that sold it. And, you know, if you come out and you start accusing people, people get defensive right off the bat. It's just kind of a human nature type thing, right? They're trying to, you know, hey, hold on, you know. But so think about that kind of stuff if you do get one that's fake. If you get it from eBay, eBay is pretty good about refunding the purchase if you just show them that, you know, this was not as described, or, you know, the value was not as what they said it was, and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyhow, if you have questions, throw those down in there. There's lots of other ways, I'm sure, to make fakes. I just know that these are the examples that I particularly have here with me. Like I said, another one on a package that I got. It's clearly a fake. It's a Mazda with the Screecher wheels, and I didn't know at the time because I hadn't seen one, and it's really terrible. But once I got it in the mail, I was like, oh my god, this is completely fake. But when I was looking at it, it was so cheap. It was like $60 for, I say cheap, but it was $60 for a Mazda, the dark red with the Screecher wheels. And when I got it, it was the dark red, but it had the base, the painted base with the orange and stripes attached to it. So, and like I said, I was like, oh crap, you know, I just want to get this before somebody else sees it. And yep, that's how I got duped on that one. I just wasn't paying attention. I was excited and purchased it, and I got my money back and all that kind of stuff through eBay. But it was one of my first lessons learned. But that was probably the worst fake I have ever bought. I should have known better. And, you know, if you do your research, you know, look at the other ones, look for pictures. If something doesn't look right, you probably should either ask questions or just steer clear of it. So, but anyway, dang, excuse me. Throw your questions down below in the comments if you have them. If you have examples of fakes, you know, you can tell the story down in the comments as well, so other people can kind of see it. And you know, as a community, I know for a lot of people, as soon as somebody is realizing somebody is creating fakes, the community usually does come together pretty well and says, hey, we noticed that a bunch of fakes come from this particular seller, don't buy from them, right? And, you know, it does kind of help out. So there is, you know, there is some other people that are out there doing it. So same thing especially for Real Riders. I know Kevin Olson has made some posts about the AOK, showing a guy that's been trying to, you know, sell a fake one or multiple fake ones for a while now. So there is some people out there, you know, looking at this stuff and paying attention and trying to help everybody out to keep from getting you, you know, from scamming you basically. So if you know that you see one of those, you know, make the post and put it out there. Say, hey, this guy's got the scam out there, and you know, call it out, you know, so that we can all, you know, have you know, be privy to the information to keep from getting scammed, or keeping a new person that wants to get into the hobby, you know, from scammed. That'd be the worst thing, is, you know, start a new hobby, they find a favorite vehicle, and they finally have money to get, you know, a rare one, and they find out they got scammed. They're probably going to just be done. They're like, this hobby sucks. So we don't want that. We want good people in it. And, you know, the more people that are in it, the more fun it becomes, the more, you know, camaraderie there kind of is. So we want to invite those people in for sure. But anyhow, leave your comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't. And we'll continue making videos on pretty much anything Hot Wheels. So, you know, if you got something you want to see or want me to talk about or whatever, throw that in the comments as well. I'll see if I can see what I can do. So, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.